in modern history, with them inflating, artificially pumping up the economy. What are we, over $30 trillion in debt, $31 trillion in debt. And now you're hearing, by the way, one after another, the IMF, what is it, the International Monetary Fund, they came out this past Thursday and warned of very, very difficult economic times for the entire globe. Variable rates on all that commercial business sector that you have. Oh, and the government has to pay more money on the $31 trillion in debt that they have because they raised interest rates. You see what a scam this is and where this thing is going? $45 billion more than the Biden administration requested, and an 8% increase from last year as the economy is going down the toilet. They're killing us in thousands of different ways. Exports extend decline. Yep. Outbound shipments from China plunged 8.7% year over year, the biggest drop since February 2020. And that's when everything started closing down. So now you have the numbers as bad as it was at the worst. The Wall Street Journal forecast, they were looking at a 2% decline. That's what the street thought. Went down 8.7%. The sharper than expected plunge comes amid weakening factory activity and a sluggish recovery in China's property sector. If they're exporting that much less, that means others are buying less and their economies are going down. The International Monetary Fund says we're going to have about a 2.7 decline globally. It'll be worse than that. Let's go back a year ago when it was only going to be temporary, and then it was going to be transitory. And now, well, maybe it'll keep going for a while. So there's reasons, by the way. They're either too stupid to know what was going to happen, or else they wanted to keep the markets artificially propped up, because when interest rates go up, the economy and the equity markets are going down. Well, the markets went up today. Yeah, they've been down. They had 5 days down. Gold is back around $1,800 an ounce. Oil's taking a beating. Why? Because they say the global economy is going down. Or is the price rigged because they don't want Russia to make any money on it? But going back to the markets, things are going to turn. With, again, everybody's waiting for two things. The wholesale price is coming out tomorrow, how much they went up. And again, they'll lie about it anyway because they make up this shit. And the other one, of course, is how much the Fed going to raise interest rates. So the word on the street is 50 basis points. It's going to bring down the housing market. We don't see a crash. A lot of people do. We don't. The crash we see is in the commercial business sector. Again, the higher interest rates go, the more money people have to pay on their loans, particularly if they're variable, which, by the way, just happened up in Canada. They got a lot of variable interest rates up there. And they just raised the interest rate there 50 basis points. So we believe, we're forecasting, the big downturn is going to happen in 2023. It takes time for this stuff to take hold. But then don't worry about it, because when 2024 comes, they're going to lower interest rates in the United States in time for the presidential reality show. It was, the whole thing has been pumped up. You could stop the stuff about supply chain disruption. Yeah, that's part of it. All of the countless trillions of dollars that they've pumped into the economy to artificially boost it up is what's pushing up inflation. And now the imbeciles and morons, the people called government officials, have just increased the debt burden of the United States by only another $2.5 trillion so that we don't default on our debt. So dragflation is, no, it's not going to be a stagnant economy, stagflation. The economy is going to go down as inflation continues to go up. Again, this is global. You're looking at merger and acquisition activity in the United States at an all-time high because they're borrowing all this cheap money and buying up everything. Same thing going on in Australia. So when we look at the real interest rate, what do we have? Near zero interest rate? Now we just mentioned, what, a 6.8% inflation rate? What is the real interest rate? It's in negative territory. So this whole thing is one big scam that's being used to artificially prop up the markets and prop up the economy. Again, when they start raising interest rates seriously, this thing's going to go down big, and it's going to go down hard. Trade gap in goods and services expanded in October to a seasonally adjusted $78.2 billion. You know, I remember back in the 70s when all this started to happen. And then it got a lot worse because of Bill Clinton, with NAFTA, our jobs leaving America, going to poor labor countries, going to have to pay a lot to get stuff made, and then bringing China into the World Trade Organization. Biden bought part of it. So the trade deficits are ridiculous. The debt levels over $31 trillion in the United States. And again, what's going to happen when they raise interest rates, gold prices will probably go down, but so too will foreign currencies. And the emerging markets borrow their money in dollars. So as their currencies go lower, they have to pay more. So there's going to see a lot of serious civil unrest going on. Black Friday status dims as store sales fall. Yeah, they're down, but you know, they went up on the cyber end. They were 5.8% over last year. But again, I don't see a big downturn this Christmas. It's going to come next year. Well, again, Mussolini called it the merger of state and corporate powers. I mean, look at this chip bill that they did. This multi-billion-dollar chip bill. Yeah, go open a place up here. Here's money to go do it. Hey, I'm a big guy. I want tax credits. The rest of you workers of slave land, you pay everything. Look what the IRS, $80 billion go into the IRS so they can hunt down the small businesses and we the little people of slave land here. You think the Buffetts and the Gates and all the big shots out there don't know how to beat the system and have the whole deal done? They're not going to get a penny from them. They're going to go after us. So I call it a communist